Well, good evening, WNBA and LA Sparks fans, and welcome in to the LA Sparks 365 Network, your 24/7 365 comprehensive home of the WNBA and your two-time WNBA champion Los Angeles Sparks. Here tonight, folks, on February 24th, 2015. If you folks recall, this time last year, in what was at the time an empty Studio 171 in San Diego after finishing in a move into the new digs, and it took us about 30 minutes to get our first guests in on the program that night. Here we are, folks, 1 year later. This is Sparks 365, the 1 year anniversary show. Good evening, folks, alongside the two-man founding father of the network and the petition effort over the offseason, the Normal 2 broadcast team, Chris Mancy from the Internet Studios in Anaheim, California. Cal McClure joining you here from a sold-out Studio 171 in San Diego. Chris, I know, man, we've been entrenched with those difficulties of the tape-delayed shows during the earlier part of the offseason, but now, man, not only, Chris, is it the 1 year anniversary, but it's our first live show back since a few technical faults. And also, man, is it hard to believe that we've been here for a whole year already, man? How's it going?
Nothing much, just hanging here. Just feels weird. Also, back on this network again, and already got a viewer.
And also that we're back in live streaming finally after a few shows of doing the tape delayed broadcast here on the network. In any case, folks, we're going to be here actually for the whole hour here, folks, until 11 o'clock tonight. So many great things to talk about over the course of the program tonight. Not necessarily talking about the moves being made, but again to kind of talk about why we've been here, why this is such a huge deal. And Chris, I look at it this way, man. There are two important dates that I always look back to whenever I think about the past of the offseason of last year, which of course was, in spite of all the drama with the offseason last year. But Chris, there's two dates that always are fresh in my mind when I think about the Sparks and the offseason last year, Chris, is February 5th and February 24th. Of course, February 5th when the Sparks were bought by Magic Johnson. But of course, Chris, today is the other date that's circled on my calendar over time, Chris, because today, man, 1 year ago today, we were sitting here waiting on you to come in for, after you were trying to get your way into the hangout, we were in like a 20-minute delay, and what was an empty Studio 171 after I just finished moving in from an old place. And, Chris, that we've been here since February 24th of last year, being the only place that anyone that is a fan of the WNBA, and specifically the Sparks, would ever hear any sort of news, talk, debate about the league itself, because as we know, Chris, there's a lot of hurdles that we go through as WNBA fans. So I guess, Chris, thinking back to last year while we were waiting on you to get in here trying to, figure out your hangout stuff, man, when you were kind of trying to get in here, but while you were watching me ramble to fill the time, would you kind of imagine that we'd be here for a whole year already, or do you think that maybe it'd be like another network that we don't want to mention where it would go for a bit, then stop and not be heard from ever again?
Just be here for a year, just still speechless about it.
Chris, I know, man, that things have changed, to say the least. I've added another job to my cap. You've changed jobs since the year started. Of course, we had birthdays, of course, so I was 19 when we first started this thing. You were, in my shoes, you were 20 when we started this thing last year. So a lot's happened, folks, over the past whole year. And also, folks, we invite you, folks, and now that we're back live, we can take tweets, IG photos, or of course our famous Q&A, folks. Again, so hit us up on Twitter at Calamac3 or at LASparksFan3042 or at LASparks65. Send in your favorite moments from the show or favorite memories from the Sparks season with the hashtag LAS1. And do the same thing on Instagram too. Our handles have changed a bit since, or at least mine's changed a bit since the last time we were on here. Hit us up on IG at Calamac311 or at LakersFan_2434 with hashtag LAS1. And we'll get to your stuff later. Chris, we had one quick one here before we started the show from one of our co-hosts, which would be Crystal Thomas at Pup1010. She says her favorite moment from last year is when Faria Abdi had that one good game against Phoenix late in the season. So there's one. So again, folks, Twitter or Instagram with hashtag LAS1 for your favorite moments or memories from the show over the years. Now, Chris, as we go back to sort of how it was when we first did the petition effort, it was a late night, very serious, none of this, making fun of each other or, gimmicks or whatever it was. And Chris, like the petition, this was my idea as well for the network again, Chris, doing this not just for a broadcasting school as a project and a thing to sort of get recognized in school, but also, Chris, as a way, though, as we've said, for the fans of the league to sort of be kept up to date with what's happening in regards to news and scores and stuff like that. So, Chris, I think, man, I know that we've come a long way, but Chris, I guess, man, I know that we storyboarded this for a good week, planning out, the name and, everything else included from the graphics on Twitter to the website we got to update sometime soon. Then I'll take care of that later on. But, Chris, I guess, man, when we kind of came about this idea, when I first came about it, Chris, let's do something as a way to kind of show our appreciation for the fan base as we're signing the petition, Chris. Let's give them something that ESPN and Fox Sports 1 won't ever give them, that's an entire show or an entire live broadcast feed for them to be able to watch and also to know about what's going on with the WNBA, Chris. So I guess, man, your thoughts about the entire ordeal as you look back at it a year ago when we were planning out, storyboarding this idea for this network.
Just very great idea of this LA Sparks network to cover on the WNBA and the Sparks.
Chris, I know that it's specifically for the team, but of course, folks, we say this is for everyone here. So if you're not a Sparks fan, don't feel offended. It's for the entire league. It's just we took the moniker of the team's name, though, for the namesake here. But Chris, I think, man, as we've said plenty of times, though, early here man, bringing the awareness and bringing people into the sport is the main reason why I felt it was necessary to make this network in the first place. Because again, Chris, as we've said, you can go turn on SportsCenter right now, Chris, and all they're going to talk about for the entire show is Derrick Rose's knee injury, or they'll talk about LeBron or the NFL or the NBA, Chris. And again, that is why I'm different than most people, because I don't cover the main tier of sports. I do watch it. I just don't talk about it on a daily basis. I'm more so for the things I cover. So again, Chris, I guess, man, is it important, though, that there's people like us two, plus Shorty and Crystal, Chris, that come onto this channel every night, most nights, or every once in a while, Chris, to talk about the WNBA for the fan bases out there, or the people that are like Sue Favor, Chris, that really don't care much about the other sports, but only mainly just worry about their main sport, which is the WNBA, Chris. Is it important, though, man, that there is something like this out there for the people to watch and view, though, during the course of how long they're doing it?
Yeah, just very awesome to have something out there, since there's pretty much no one that talks about the WNBA.
And again, Chris, that's why we're here again, is just for that main reason. So, Chris, if you folks do, Chris, if we do look back to last year specifically, the first night of the network, as you said, it was empty in here. There was no newspapers and no jerseys hanging up in studio here. It was just, the finished painted walls and stuff. There was nothing in here, basically. except for me and my thoughts and, you know, everything else included. But Chris, I guess, man, I think I taught this to Shorty and Crystal, I think, a while back during an off-air hangout. I think there was a time where we were all enthused with starter packs on Twitter. You know, it was 4 photos of things you needed to be like somebody. So Shorty put one together for me, which included my hair, Parker Wiggins, and Diana Taurasi in mine. And Chris, I've gone and watched, you know, the shows from last year up until now, Chris, and I'll tell you what, man, there's been changes across the way. From either it's been my hairstyles, it's been me, you know, wearing fireman's hats back in May. It's been the different things I've hung up in studio on my surfboard back here. And then of course every T-shirt changes, of course, every night. And of course, Chris, you've changed too in regards to either your hairstyle or where you've been in your house. So I guess, Chris, what would you say about changes that have come on the network in regards to either inside studios, either our appearances, you know, because I know it's changed a lot. I know that there was a time where you had to stare at a guy that had a mustache growing for the entire month of November, or a guy that had his hair slicked back like Pat Riley, or a guy that, or like Chris, you know, he was going from one place to another in his house. Or Chris, we'll get to a few of our favorite moments, folks, but I guess, Chris, how about changes made in studio into our image, I guess, here on the network, I guess, we'll all say for this one.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you got to kind of change the look up a bit, I guess. So I'm sure there'll be different changes coming up, you know, next time. Chris, as you folks remember, we did an entire Throwback Thursday, or for the entire Christmas holiday, we allowed you folks to watch every single episode of the Petition Show that ran all day Christmas Eve and all day Christmas Day, and into part of the following day, where we let you folks rewatch all of the Petition shows. Chris, I'm going to go back and kind of scour through the channel feed on YouTube and see what memories I can recall best. And I got one off the top of my head, Chris, but I don't want to jump to it so quick right now, because it happened in April. But, Chris, I guess there really wasn't a whole lot happening early. We were kind of sort of, you know, establishing ourselves, saying, you know, hey, this is what we're doing. And, of course, Chris, I guess, man, the other change I can bring up, Chris, the other change, man, has been the programming lineup. I mean, Chris, for what we've done here, I mean, you know, 3 regular shows on a day-to-day basis during the off-season. You know, we had 365, then Sparks Fam, and then the Petition Show. Chris, the earliest moment I can recall as I pull up the feed here from the network is the first edition or second edition of Sparks Fam, February 25th, when someone tweeted you read it, and the tweet read, "The petition to keep the Sparks in LA works so well, why not make one to get rid of Mike D'Antoni?" I recall busting up laughing because they wanted us, after what we just did for the Sparks, to make a petition to fire Mike D'Antoni from the LA Lakers. And I remember busting up, Chris, and I think there was like a delay there. There was like, you finished reading a tweet, you showed it on the camera, and then it's like, it clicked like, wait a second, you really want us to make a petition now to fire somebody? So, Chris, how about your first early memory from the network back in February of last year?
There's a lot of memories. Especially that one where the security got it, and then you just started busting up laughing and all this stuff.
Chris, I'm a bit salty. That was the one I was going to get to for April. I'm trying to go month by month here, and of course you jumped the gun again, but who cares? We'll just move on from here. I'm just scouting back over the feed again, just seeing what was happening. Chris, I think the first one to forget was back in March. We had our women's basketball bracketology show, and I think you and I don't even remember what was going on, but I think we picked like some weird school to get to finals and lose to UConn, I think, or you had them losing to Notre Dame, I think. So that's another one. And then back in April, there wasn't a whole lot until April 24th, folks. The April 24th Sparks Fam show is still a highlight from this entire time being on here. Now, folks, here's the deal in the scenario here. So we're right in the middle. I want to say we're about 10 minutes away from the end of the show before we were going to go on and take a break and go on to our next one. And Chris got hounded by his security guard, his mom, in studio about the garbage in the house. So it was a complete, I don't even know how to phrase it. It was just, it was completely outrageous that this happened, folks. And I had to carry the load of, basically put the team on my back and carry them to the finish line for 10 minutes because Chris just couldn't keep up with it. And it's still one of the best Sparks Fam episodes of our entire time. Chris, reiterate what on earth happened up in studio when that happened back in April of last year, man, because it's still an ultimate moment of the network.
Just security wanted me to take up the garbage, and I was doing the show and I couldn't take it out, and just got mad at me and all this stuff.
Now, Chris, that wasn't the only time security intruded. The very next show, I had to ask you a question 5 times in a row because of security hounding you about the trash again, man. So obviously those 2 shows for you were probably a bit forgettable, right, after what happened in studio?
Yeah, just pretty much every time I did the show, pretty much. So.
Well, it's not as bad for right now. Knock on wood. We hope it's okay. Going back through the feed again. Then, Chris, there was our first free agent signee on the network back in April, Chris, on April 28th, when Shorty Mamba 24, Chris, one of our tremendous friends on Twitter and one of our co-organizers of the petition effort, joined us for Training Camp Central. Chris, I think, man, as we've said before plenty of times, Chris, this is a WNBA team we're covering, so you had to put at least one W in the lineup. So, Chris, I guess, man, your thoughts about us adding in a new member of the broadcast team, and, of course, Chris, a great source who's always giving us breaking news, which is Shorty Mamba 24 on Twitter. What do you got to say?
Just an awesome person to have on the show, Shorty Mamba 24, and one of my great friends, and I'm pretty sure she's watching us right now.
Chris, she's probably one of the Team Ace 3 people watching. We got 3 people viewing us. Thank you, folks, for coming by and stopping and spending some time here with us here on our 1-year anniversary show here on LAS 365. Then, Chris, there was the first time you and I got salty on the network. The petition show from April 20th, Chris, when we were talking about Donald Sterling and the entire reaction about the Sterling tapes coming out about his racial remarks about Matty Johnson and the African-American population. Chris, I mean, man, it's tough to sort of talk about this kind of issues, Chris, but when you do get rolling, man, you get fired up and amped up. So you know what? I mean, it was bound to happen sooner or later. So, of course, we'll let that one go by, basically. Going into early May, not much else happening except for this one, Chris. And I have to kind of pick a bone with you here, man. You know that I am not a fan of getting up before noon because of how bad my schedule is, Chris. But you, sir, had a problem at your house back on May 7th of last year in regards to a power outage. And you stayed home from work. You called me at 6 a.m. for no reason. And we thought of an idea to do the show in the morning, which wasn't the wisest of ideas either because my hot chocolate went cold, and you left the show about 20 minutes in because of some other security interfering with you. And Chris, that was the only time we had a morning show. So, Chris, if you can, man, what in the world happened at your house on May 7th of last year when you had that power outage? You were going to go to work, and then the light didn't come on or something like that, and then you called me and bugged me for no reason at 6 a.m., and we did a morning show, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, you got a power outage, and just got bored and just did a show, and I forgot what the other security is. Oh, wait, I think I know.
I was going to say, if you don't know who that is, there's something really wrong with you, dude. But also, Chris, hey, we do have a tweet here from Shorty Mama 24. She's saying, Shorty here checking you guys out. Holla. Thanks for watching. So, of course, Chris, she's watching. She wouldn't miss the show. Come on now. Then, Chris, there was a week later from May 7th, Chris, there was May 14th when, of course, Chris, the news broke about the massive wildfires down here in San Diego where we had 5 to 6 different fires burning across the county, Chris. where I had to show my appreciation, though, Chris, to the great fire department down here, Chris, and put on that Firehouse Subs fireman's hat, Chris. I mean, I know it was, out of the blue to do that, Chris, but of course, Chris, it was for a couple reasons. One, because I had it, and two, Chris, to show appreciation, though, about, what those brave men and women were doing, though, on the front lines. Then, Chris, May 15th of last year was the final time before this past offseason, or during this offseason, Chris, where we talked about the petition effort. We had you, me, and Shorty on for a whole two-part special about recapping the entire offseason, which, Chris, the first hour of that show, by the way, folks, is the most viewed video on the network at over 105 views on that video. So that's good to see. Then, of course, Chris, then, man, we did our first network program expansion, Chris, of our in-season format, where we added in more programs for the fans, which included, of course, our post-game show, our league-wide scoreboard show, our compacted game show, and also the other show of the Fabulous Forum as well, which would included myself, you, Shorty, and Crystal. Then Chris, there's the other hilarious Sparks Fam show, Chris, the day after my birthday at Staples Center, where we had to mute you, man, 10 times in 2 shows for you being a complete idiot, almost. Now, folks, if you recall here, there's one big rule here that we have on the show is you cannot say or show the same tweet twice on the program, and also you can't show stuff from yourself on the network. And Chris, you got 7 mutes in that on the actual fam show, and then for no reason, just to get more text than Tarasi, you did it 3 more times. So, Chris, what were you thinking, man, when you were getting muted the whole time? Was it your way of pissing me off on the network to throw me off of my train of thought, or was it just like, I might as well keep doing it because I'm bored right now, or what was going on, though, during that entire 2 block?
I don't know. I think I just got bored and I don't know.
That or you were still salty because the Mercury beat the Sparks on my birthday for some reason. I don't know why. And then moving on across the back part of May. Then, Chris, there was a time where we introduced the time where we introduced the Full Court Press, which is basically, folks, our crammed-in show. And, Chris, if you recall right, man, when we were doing the Full Court Press, man, I sounded like an auction dealer with the very fast, rapid-fire introduction to the show, Chris, because we were running out of time and wanted to get everything done in time. So that was Full Court Press for you folks for a little bit. Then, Chris, we look ahead a bit towards June. Not much else happened except, Chris, on June 11th, we launched our first episode of Press Pass Sparks, which was my all-inclusive trip back to my local high school to a group of special needs kids to show off my Candace Parker art gallery. Chris, that's something, that sticks with me a lot, Chris, is to be able to go back to school, and see all your old friends and, all your old friends and faculty there. But, of course, Chris, spend your day, though, with a group of kids that, deal with so much, physical and mental disabilities over the course of their lifetime that they're frowned upon by other kids on campus and everything else included, Chris. It's just so special to be able to go back there and spend time with those kids during the course of that entire day. And, Chris, how in the world can I forget when we had our first nominated Twitter follower to watch the program in early June? Chris, if you recall right, man, if you folks remember, Coach Dave Miller from Time Warner Cable Sportsnet, the great former NBA coach and current Sparks analyst, accepted our invite to watch the program live one night during the point in time of a post-game show when the Sparks were playing Minnesota. Chris, it was funny, man, because we would always nominate someone to watch the program on a night-to-night basis, Chris. And I recall, man, that we were getting ready to go on to the program when Dave Miller tweeted to us saying, "I can't find the stream right now." And when we saw, like, okay, we better get going now. And, Chris, this wasn't someone that we nominated that watched for 5 minutes and then left. Chris, Dave Miller stayed on the channel and watched us for the full 35-minute recap show, Chris. Sending photos, sending tweets to us, man. Viewers were interacting with him too, which was awesome to see, man. So I guess, Chris, how cool was it to have Dave Miller watching our program? A guy that does work for sports and also, Chris, does cover the Sparks on a day-to-day basis.
This is very awesome, and also I think that dog that he had was another thing too.
And also, he was down in San Diego, which made it even better for me, of course, seeing that. And then, Chris, going back to July, and sadly, folks, we had to remove the video because of a copyright violation on my part for playing the music during it. But of course, Chris, there was our hangout for you on your 21st birthday, which included 2 hours of madness, from paper toss to bad karaoke to a lot of things, Chris. But sadly, folks, as you know with YouTube, you can't have videos that have copyright infringement with the music playing, so we had to unfortunately take the video down. But Chris, probably the funnest hangout we've had, where it wasn't talking basketball, talking WNBA, man. It was just a complete sleepover almost we had with you, me, Crystal, and Shorty. Chris, I mean, your thoughts about that event we put on for you, man, last year for your birthday?
Just still, and just right now, I'm about to break down tears.
Hilarious. Absent, just, a very fun night, folks. Just one we won't forget, but again, Sally, we have to forget it, though, because unfortunately the video had to be pulled down because of copyright with the music in the background. But Chris, also, excuse me, also, man, we had our second free agent signee during the offseason, of course, which was Crystal Thomas coming onto our program on the Fab Forum on July 24th. Now, Chris, Crystal was tweeting to me live during that show. You were away, I think either you were sick or something, and you didn't come on the show that night. She was kind of asking if there was anything afterwards, and there was nothing scheduled. So, Chris, we basically put together a show, and she hit a grand slam, and of course, had great interaction on Twitter. So, Chris, how about our other signee, which was Crystal Thomas during the season, coming in off the bench to fill your void?
Just very awesome to have Crystal Thomas on the show.
And Crystal also sends our way favorite moment too, singing in the hangout for Chris's birthday, hashtag LAS1. So there's another tremendous moment from the entire year. Then Chris, looking ahead to August, when we got towards the later part of the season and we got to everything. Chris, the show that is also not forgotten, Chris, is our 2-hour Fab Forum show between all four of us on August 19th, which, of course, Chris, was highlighted by, Chris, we were in a groove. I mean, we got so much stuff. We were talking about so much great stuff. And, of course, Chris, it was the better part, though, when we're talking about the teams that were in the draft lottery. And, of course, Chris, I'm sure we'll have this one. Is this Bill Lambert's retirement home? Okay, thank you. Chris, there was a lot of gimmicks that went on during that entire show between Lambert's retirement home, the age of the Connecticut roster. So, Chris, we just got in that groove, man, and we delivered 2 great hours of talk about the entire postseason, the draft lottery, possible sites if players leave to go somewhere else. And, of course, Chris, the best part again was that right there again of, is this Bill Lambert's retirement home? Okay, thank you. Chris, how great was that show we did back on August 19th?
This is very funny and just hilarious.
And I know Shorty and Chris, you guys are going to kick out of that one. But again, just for good measure, just one more time for you guys. Is this Bill Lambert's retirement home? Okay, thank you. And then, Chris, then there was the one show I think we might want to forget, which was the next night, where I sounded like a robot. We had the Calinator in studio here because there was a problem with my computer, folks, which is why we've gone to the microphone now so we can cut down on that mistake, which we had poor audio quality. So, Chris, as I say, man, no one's perfect. Our win percentage is not 1,000. We take our wins and losses with stride. We'll forget about that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not pretty, folks, and it's still up there for you folks to view. And then, of course, Chris, the second episode of Press Pass Sparks took place in my backyard for the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. And, of course, Chris, as you know, you were the first person nominated in that video for that entire ordeal, which has been viewed plenty of times. And, of course, Chris, back in August, too, we also launched a new show as well for the FIBA tournament, which was FIBA 365 during that stretch. Then, Chris, came the hairstyle changes for me. As you folks know, I normally keep it flat, but as you can kind of tell from, at least from, let's say, all of August, you notice that the hairstyle changes a lot from what it is now to the Pat Riley style, where it's slicked back or it's parted right down the middle for some reason. As we said, Chris, our appearances change from time to time, so that's what it is there. And personally, I like that look, though. I mean, that looks really good. I'm talking about the slick hair. And then, of course, Chris, into September, man, we got into all of the breakdowns of a team's seasons. And, of course, Chris, we had other guests on. When you couldn't make it, we had Albert Lee come on. We had Chris Habas come on from the Mercury. Pat Friday joined in. So a lot of great people coming in the fun. And, of course, we recapped all 12-team seasons and also recap the 2 interviews I did, Chris, with Candace Parker and Candace Wiggins. A lot went into the framework of getting those 2 players on the show, or at least on my podcast. And then, of course, Chris, just recently started doing Sparkling Overseas back in October, petition shows. And, of course, Chris, it culminates with the 7-day series of us recapping the Sparks offseason to where now we are here, Chris, 1 year later, talking about the WNBA and LA Sparks. And, of course, folks, you guys can send in tweets or IG photos, excuse me, geez Louise, or IG photos to us on Twitter at LA Sparks 365, at CalMac3, or at LA SparksFan 3042 with hashtag LAS1, LAS1 on Twitter. And also hit us up on Instagram at CalMac311 or at LakersFan_302434 as well. Chris on Twitter just said, thanks for an awesome party for my 21st birthday and that hangout. Again, folks, we got to take down the video because of copyright claims, because we have music going on in the background. So, Chris, those are some of the highlights, man, from the entire year, of course, from everything from having security back in April. We had Breaking Down in Tears in May for my birthday, at least. Some good stuff in June. Basically, a video sleepover for your birthday in July. And then, of course, the playoffs in August, September, interviews in October, where we're at now in November, December, and now all of this month. So, Chris, as we look back, man, what would you say, Chris, is your overall favorite moment in the entire year of the network being on the air, and why?
Pretty much, toss up between when that security and also first birthday party hangout.
Yeah, man. I still say, though, the 2 Sparks Fam episodes where we had the comedy central going on between security in April and the mute button on May 19th, those are my 2 favorites, along with the birthday party hangout. And Chris, I guess, man, too, when we also had, Chris, I'd say when we had the Swish Appeal team, we had Albert Lee, we had, Pat Friday come on, and and Steve Anderson from the Stars, and Chris Habas from the Mercury chiming in, and also Chris, how can we not forget, Chris, when we did our radio show for a few weeks, where we had Huisha Bush and Chastity Melvin, call in the first show, and we had Sue Favor on for the whole 30 minutes of the program, Chris. So I guess, man, there's been a lot of great things happening. Of course, Chris, going off the beat, Chris, from the network, Chris, how about the factor the network Twitter has played, Chris? Over 130 followers on Twitter. And I thought, that, kind of like the petition effort, Chris. I thought Twitter was going to be a laughing stock too because, you really have a Twitter feed for the WNBA. But Chris, I mean, what would you say about how great the Twitter, Chris, how great Twitter's been, I guess, for the network as a whole?
Just very awesome by the Twitter fans and everything.
I mean, Chris, to see, how much the feed has grown. Looking over, Chris, 2,500 tweets, 136 followers on Twitter, Chris. I mean, that's, pretty much unheard of. Great to see, all the fans coming out and supporting this. As Shorty and Chris will continue to go on here. Some more tweets here. Shorty says, had me dying with an emoji. And then there's apparently some lies going around on Twitter, so we'll hopefully get those talked about during an off-air hangout after we finish up the show here on LAS 65. But Chris, again, man, so much great stuff. Now, Chris, sadly, man, while it's been all fun and games doing with Chris, we as a team, but Chris, sadly, you've been under scrutiny and criticism, though, Chris, from the fan bases for what reasons, Chris? I have no idea why. I mean, but again, Chris, players going to play, haters going to hate. But I guess, Chris, it's Chris, it's something that happens, though. I mean, you have people, you have doubters and naysayers about stuff you do. So I guess, Chris, are you at all surprised, though, man, there's been a few people out there that's either dissed the network or is basically sadly dissed you for no reason, I guess is what I'll say for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not much of a surprise, but hey, players going to play, haters going to hate, so it happens all the time. So that's what it is at this point in time. So that's going to happen. But I guess, Chris, also, I think, though, that it's important to realize as well, man, how not, Chris, I don't really like to, leave you out of things, Chris, but it's been something awesome, though, man, that I've sort of become we've become some of the most respected people that cover the league, and in regards to just how we've been able to be a reliable source almost for news about the league, Chris. I mean, man, I've been really shocked that I've been able to tweet out every move made on Twitter for the network in regards to the signings and trades going on over the course of how long it's been happening during the entire offseason so far. So, again, we appreciate everyone's input tonight on Twitter. Again, you guys can hit us up on Twitter at any time. Again, at LA Sparks 365, at Calimac3, or at LA Sparks 3042 with hashtag LAS1, and share some of your favorite stories from the network during this point in time. So, Chris, I guess, man, what I'm getting at here is, Chris, is it important, that the fan bases, that they have viewed us or they kind of know about it, Chris? Is it important, though, man, that not only are we respected, but also, Chris, that we've been followed and been acknowledged as a reliable source, though, from, other people that cover the league like Sue and Albert, James, and Nate? Is it important, though, that the main media, gives us the same sort of credit for doing what we've been doing, though, for the whole year?
Yeah, just very great that people that cover the NBA recognize us.
Yeah, very important, Chris. And of course, there'll be times where I get a phone call from Albert at least once a week to talk about whatever's been going on over the course of the time with the league itself. So again, if you folks want to share anything else on Twitter, again, it's at LA Sparks, at LA Sparks 365, at Calimac3, or at LA Sparks Fan 3042 with hashtag LAS1. Chris, I know, man, that our main talking point with the petition ever, Chris, was, how it wasn't just Sparks fans signing it, Chris, but it was also you know, how the entire league, you know, our 11 friends came to our aid. Chris, how awesome has been, man, to be able to not only be viewed by other fans on the network, Chris, but also be able to make friends with those other fans as well from our 11 friends in the league as well across the entire league.
Just very great to make friends with other people around the WNBA.
As I say a lot, Chris, you know, that is what separates the WNBA as a whole, man. Again, is it's not, you know, the average way, you know, kill someone, say their team sucks or whatever it may be. You know, it is what it is, though, in regards to how great this league is as a whole. In regards to how great the fan bases are, as we've been in between 3 to 4 viewers tonight. So again, it's going to be back live here on the network finally, folks. We had a long delay trying to get my laptop fixed. We had to get a new charger for it. So again, that's why we're finally back here live and in full on the network here on LAS 365. Chris, again, man, you know, it's been a long, you know, it's been a long journey, you know, coming back here this time last year with nothing in studio, just me and my thoughts, and nothing on the walls or hanging up or anything else included, man, and, you know, waiting on you to get in the Hangout after you were trying to figure out how to get back in the Hangout, you know, stuff like that. And then, you know, I mean, you know, we've been here, Chris, you know, through a lot, you know, illness, personal problems, whatever it may be, to be here for the fan base. So of course that's been fun to do. Everything else included at this point in time. So again, you know, great to be here again for you folks, as it's been for the entire whole year. Chris, as we sort of kind of look back one more time here again, you know, storyboarding this thing was one deal, but I guess, Chris, I know that we've tried other networks. We know that we have one that we don't care to talk about anymore because of some pretty major, severe problems in regards to a few other people that we were involved with. Networks that you've tried doing that just aren't the same, you know, in regards to either doing football or college football or hockey, and they just fizzle out. Chris, I guess, man, and I know I said this back in December, Chris, but again, man, you know, we can make all the networks we want to, either on YouTube or on Blog Talk, man. But, Chris, in my humble, honest opinion, man, they're not going to be as successful as this one has been. I mean, what we've done for a whole year in regards to, you know, growing the product, you know, from 3 shows to shows during the season, you know, adding more during the off season, you know, and stuff like that. And then, of course, Chris, you know, being viewed by current and former players across the league, you know, television analysts, media members, you know, and of course being, you know, followed, of course, on Twitter by a few Sparks players and a few other things included, man. But again, Chris, as much as it may kill you because you're trying your best to do your own thing, man, but again, dude, we're not going to... Chris, you know, I mean, you can make every network you want to. You can make one for the Rams when they go to LA, Chris. That network is going to fail because there is not going to be support shown, sadly, like it has been here. I know that we tried baseball, dude. That was a tough grind to do because, I mean, you're talking about doing, you know, every game, you know, a postgame show after every single game for 162 games, Chris. You're going to get worn out very quick, where in basketball you have days off, you know, and time in between each games. So I guess, Chris, I know it's killing you inside because I'm kind of like talking down on you because you made it on the networks, but Chris, I need you to be honest, man. Do you think, man, that even as we try to make other networks, that they're going to basically fail like another one that we had going well before some other people intruded on us, basically?
Yeah.
In regards to what?
This network, nothing would be better than this network.
Do you really mean that, or are you just saying it to upset me, dude?
I don't know.
Okay, and then, well, yeah, well, and with that, we'll just, do that again. You know, we'll just, you know, put you on mute for a few minutes and see if you can clean up your act a little bit. Anyway, though, Chris, again, man, Sparks 365 here, folks. Again, the 1 year anniversary already, 1 year anniversary already here of the Sparks 365 network. Again, folks, an idea like the petition that was brought up in a closed door FaceTime session that involved weeks upon weeks of storyboarding, in regards to storyboarding and trying to get stuff worked out to where it's come, folks, to it being where we've come so far today. Again, being here for an entire year already on LAS 65, bringing you folks and being the only place you folks will hear any news, scores, and anything about the league. This is your one-stop shop, and probably, folks, the only place you will ever hear talk about the Sparks, and also, I should say, talk about the WNBA in regards to things included. And Chris, and by the way, folks, Chris left, but sent me a text, though, saying that perhaps that apparently an LA radio station just gave us a shout-out, so we'll see the authenticity of that one. Yeah, and Chris says that a friend of ours that's watching in Fresno said that a radio station in Fresno just gave us a shout out apparently. So we'll check the authenticity of that story off air. But again, folks, again, ladies and gentlemen, again, something like this, that we've both, but more so myself, have taken pride in doing for the entire time, again, is phenomenal. Again, to do what we've done for the entire year, coming on here and being the only place where folks that are WNBA aficionados or that cover the league, or if they're even a player, can come and really get, kind of be in a safe house almost, because as I've said before, folks, I'm sure Chris would agree if he was here right now, is we are your only place that you will ever hear any sort of news and scores and stuff like that on a live network. Basically, this is like the NBA TV version of the W on the web. This is the only place that you can come and get inside analysis from not just myself and Chris, but also from Shorty and Crystal. Plus, sometimes, folks, you get lucky and you get a few writers on that cover the league and cover the teams that they write for, like Albert and Chris Habis and Steven down in San Antonio, and Anella, who's also covering the Stars. And you get fans input, and when you get fan input too, of course, as we have been on Twitter for the entire show, of course, from Shorty and Crystal, plus Chris a couple times chiming in. And that is what this network is based off of, is being different, showing interest in women's sports, yes, but also coming to you folks and also being able to do something that's been a passion of mine for 11 years is women's basketball. I mean, as I've said many times, ladies and gentlemen, I take great pride in covering this sport and covering the other 4 teams I work for, which is the hockey team, my indoor soccer team, 2 college baseball teams, and, of course, the Sparks. I take great pride in doing all of those activities, but I take more pride, I think, in doing this in regards to, being a fan for life, from seeing Taurasi play in 04, Candace Parker at Tennessee in 07 and 08, to where we've come now, folks, and again, to being able to have interviewed Candace and interviewed Candace Parker, Candace Wiggins, and again, being a fan for life. And I think it's what sort of helps Chris and I out is we're not like, the average anchors on FS1 or ESPN where we try our best to cover up, we don't know a whole lot, but that we're knowledgeable. We know about the game. We've either watched the game for a long time, we're still watching it vaguely, but it's good though that there are people out there, like myself, like Chris, Shorty, and Crystal, and that we bring on here that are knowledgeable, that they know about the game, they know the ins and outs, and know what play needs to happen here and there, and also how and how tremendous and the dedication that we put into making this network to where it's gotten so far this year, and gotten over a year from being a small underground little thing being run from two people's houses. As as Crystal Thomas on Twitter just tweeted in saying, "I still think I can take KT on one-on-one. If she's not in a pouty mood, you still might be in trouble. But I'm not gonna. I'll wait to put a wager on that one later on. But any case." Again, folks, being able to be here every night, whether it's been through being sick, dealing with personal problems, we've been able to come here and just do our thing, for 30 minutes, or the night being here for a whole hour. I think Chris had to duck out because he had to go to sleep, I think. But good, though, again, folks, that we were able to get Chris back on. I know that we've had problems trying to get back on here because my poor computer's been screwing up lately, but I got the charger fixed where you're able to come back live. And now as Shorty says on Twitter about Crystal taking on Chris Tolliver one-on-one, she says only on 2K. Yeah. And now replying back, Crystal says I would at least score 5 points. So in that game. So we'll see how that one ends later on. With that, though, folks, you're ready to wrap things up here on the network. Again, here on LAS 65. Cal McClure joining you, folks. Your solo for the last part here. Chris Mancy had to leave tonight, so perhaps he'll be back with us next time. We'll be back live on the air. Again, ladies and gentlemen, hard to believe that we've been sitting here for 51 minutes and counting 1 year later after the petition campaign, folks, and a week afterwards. Chris and I met once again and talked about launching this network. Again, an idea that was a sidebar project to my broadcasting school curriculum, but also is a place, as I've said plenty of times, folks, and Chris would agree with me, the only place you will ever find comprehensive talk of the WNBA and the Sparks would be made available to the fan bases of all 12 teams on YouTube. And whether we were going to get hate for it or get, crap or get laughed at for it, we were going to do it regardless of what we put up with, folks. And to be admired and respected by so many tremendous people, from WNBA players, WNBA teams, WNBA players, media, and the other fan bases. It's been a very phenomenal and a tremendous experience, and it's been it's been a great thrill ride to be on. That we've been here for a whole month, a whole year, and everything else included. And Shorty and Crystal will keep going back. Hey guys, we can finish this conversation after I end the show, and we can settle your differences off the air. but anyway, keep sending those tweets to folks at LA Sparks 65 at CalMac3 with hashtag LAS1. Share your favorite memories from the network over the past year. With that, though, folks, again, I know that we've been kind of slowing down here again because we basically have covered all of our bases tonight here on LAS 65 again, from how we started this and talked about, some pretty funny moments here again from, the tweet about making another petition to fire Mike D'Antoni back in February. And then, everything from the D'Antoni petition to getting salty, to Chris's security interfering, this guy crying a river back on May 19th on the petition show there, bringing on two excellent Twitter followers and great friends, signing them to contracts from free agency to come on the network, and Shorty and Crystal, who've been watching us for the whole 54 minutes here on the program and sending us tweets in and keeping us staying interactive with us here on the program, to everything else, folks, to the tremendous amount of love and respect and tweets that we get about, great show. I love it. I sub to you guys. Your shows are great. We've had people, folks, that have not missed any one of our shows since we've been on the air. We've had people that have been here for 156 different shows. That's the number of videos on the channel, folks. We have over 157 videos, and we've had people say, I haven't missed one show. It's so fun. Not only do you guys get the work done, it's so funny to hear analogy, to see Cal do his thing and Chris sort of be in and out, but he also knows this stuff. And of course, when we bring Shorty and Crystal on, it's great to have, show, and also show that, and bring those females and those women that know the game well on the program, not just having guys cover the WNBA. But we've had people that have said that to us, that they love it or they haven't missed a single show since we've been on the air. So, of course, very rewarding, folks, to be loved by so many tremendous people out there amongst all the fan bases, including, of course, Ellie and, of course, the other 11, and, of course, our 11 friends, of course, across the league as well, to be able to, be viewed by fans, current and former players, media members, everything else included, folks. So great stuff from not just us, but, of course, a big thank you, of course, to everyone that's viewed us and here for a whole year, folks. Again, folks, today, 9 o'clock today, PST, we launched the network this time last year here on the LA Sparks 365 network. So again, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of thank yous, a lot of fun things have happened here over the course of the year. As Shorty tweets back where she says, the tweet reads, "I appreciate you guys signing me to a multi-year deal. Of course, no trade clause too. So Shorty, you're not going anywhere either. So those contracts again came, those contracts, folks, that we all signed, no trade clauses either. So we're going to be here until who knows when, perhaps. So again, we've enjoyed having the interaction, of course, with Shorty and Crystal and all of our other Twitter followers tonight on the program. Again, folks, just real quick before we cut out for the night again, wanted to just, again, as I've said for a lot here, again, just want to send, just say thanks to all the tremendous people, all you great fans across the league, LA, Phoenix, of course, the entire league, the tremendous support that you've given us, to be able to do what we do here on the network, for being able to, for you guys to tune in and either drop us a tweet, show us a photo, or drop a question in our Q&A bar, and all the love and support you guys have given us, not just LA fans, but of course everyone like Jess, who operates the DT Bun page on Twitter, to Shad and Kirby, who are Lynx fans, Allie, who's a Mystics fan, of course, and everyone else included. For all you guys out there that have really given us the love and support, saying it's so fun to be able to, have a place where I can hear about the Sparks, or hear about my favorite team, and again, being able to, and being able to get the news that I won't get on television or in my local newspaper. I'm so happy you guys did this. Folks, all that stuff that we hear on a day-to-day basis, more so that I hear more so than anyone else does on the network. Of course, always fun to be able to sit here with you folks, for 30 minutes to an hour, sit here and just say, we're so grateful to be able to be here. And again, folks, so great to be here for a whole year. And again, we appreciate and we love all the support that we've been given over the past year here on LAS 65. So we just want to say thank you. We love you for your tremendous support for the entire year that we've been here. And again, just really appreciate everyone out there for supporting us. And again, for everyone that's tuned in tonight, we thank you guys for tuning in. And of course, for Shorty and Crystal, who were on the bench tonight, for at least staying involved here on the network and at least giving us some tweets to read here and giving us a good laugh while we've been on the air for the past 59 minutes. Again, folks, it's been fun celebrating the night, folks. It's been fun celebrating and looking back and talking about, some great stories tonight. But with that, folks, until sometime later this week, that will do it for Sparks 65, our 1-year anniversary show. With that, folks, until sometime later this week, hopefully, have a safe night, drive home safely. Thank you all for coming, and good night now. This has been the LA Sparks 365 Network. We are Sparks, we are LA, and we are the WNBA. See you folks sometime later this week. Hopefully, we'll be coming back with a off-season show sometime soon. For our subs on the bench tonight, Shorty Mama 24 and Crystal Thomas in Los Angeles. For my co-host and partner, Chris Woodmansey in Anaheim, Cal McClurg in San Diego, signing off. We'll see you folks later this week, hopefully. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you folks sometime soon. Thanks for tuning in here. This has been Sparks 365, the 1-year anniversary show recapping the great highlights and lowlights of the LA Sparks 365 Network 1 year anniversary. See you folks next time. Bye bye.